Hi, this is your coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this e-learning, creating your daily game plan. What we're going to do in this e-learning, I want to take you through this is an updated e-learning. We did the first one a couple of years ago, and obviously my philosophies and some of my rules about what it takes to be excellent as a financial advisor each and every day has shifted as I've had learning experiences both personally and then also through my rather extensive client base. So what we're going to do today is really talk about really what I call being in the trenches. Each and every day truly is a make or break. And what I've noticed with successful financial advisors, and I think quite frankly successful people in general, is they think strategically. So you always think about the 1-year game plan, the 3-year business plan, the life plan, and so always thinking strategically. But we operate in a tactical environment. And what I mean by tactical is we make sure that we're executing each and every day. So what I want to do in this e-learning is take you through some very simple yet powerful strategies on how to get the most out of each and every one of your days. First off, let's talk about what I consider to be some of the elements to a well-rounded daily game plan. The first element, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, and we're actually going to create a brand new e-learning around this, is what I like to call your pre-day or morning success ritual. If I really believe, and you'll see it in a little bit of the upcoming e-learning here, that your day is really won or lost in the first hour. So one of the things we're going to talk about is, you just can't show up. You just can't kind of wander into your office at 7. I don't care, even if it's early. I think some of you think that, well, if I get to the office early, that I'm going to be in great shape for the day. Not necessarily true. It doesn't matter what time you arrive. If you're not in a position to go ahead and have clarity on what you need to accomplish, and then go ahead and execute that plan, what time you come in the office is really not relevant. So we're going to talk a little bit about positioning yourself in the morning for excellence each and every day. The second element is what I call the AM day, or what do you do in the morning? Let's face it, most of us have a little bit more control in the morning than the afternoon. Maybe we have more energy. Maybe we don't have as many distractions yet. The day hasn't gone away from us. So what I've always liked to do, and this is something I do in my coaching work, is I never look at a day as like, well, today's Monday. What I look at is, okay, I've got my pre-day. I've got what I call my AM day, which is, kind of what happens before. For most people, it's before noon. For me, it's before 1 o'clock. My AM day, actually, I kind of use my own version of time. It goes to about 1 p.m. So from, about 8 o'clock in the morning, which is when my first call is, till about 1 o'clock is what I consider to be my AM day. You will have something similar to that. The next element is what I call halftime, or the midday break. So, we just don't work all day. We want to make sure we can delineate between the AM and the PM day, and there are certain protocols that I do want run during your midday break, and I'll give you some different examples of that. And then obviously we have our PM day, which is sort of what happens in the afternoon. Sometimes we finish strong and we kind of fade in the afternoon, and a lot of times, quite frankly, that has to do with what goes in your mouth around that midday break, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But again, we want to make sure that we're being very clear and we kind of have a plan for the latter half of the day. And then finally is what we have is what I call our end of the day debrief, or hey, how do we do today? Kind of our scorecard. You must keep track each and every day what you do. And what's important is that you go ahead and you have and I consider to be simplistic. I've worked with clients over the years who get so, how do I say this right, so caught up in tracking their results that they end up tracking the tracking of their results and not really executing very much. So I think we want to reach a balance point to where we're aware of what's going on. We have a measurement of things, but we're not so minute in that measurement that it consumes us. All right, so very important. So these are really the 5 elements of what I consider to be a normal or kind of if you will, a consistent daily game plan. Now the next thing we want to take a look at is, are all days created equal? And the reality of it is, no, they're not. And this is why we're updating this e-learning, because my thinking has vastly changed over the last 10 months or so. What we're going to talk about today are there are 2 different types of daily game plans. there's going to be what we're going to call your tactical day, okay, which is what most are used to doing. It's kind of what I call working in the business. And then we're going to talk about strategic day, which is when we're going to spend more time working on the business, on yourself. Now, tactical days, these are where you're going to go do your review meetings, your first, second, or third meetings in terms of prospects. Basically, you're going to be working in the business. So that to me is what we want to be really looking at from that perspective. Okay, so tactical days are, doing our meetings, our review meetings, our first, second, third meetings for new clients, networking, COIs, so on and so forth. The other thing we're going to do in a tactical day is we're going to make sure we're doing our phone calls, our touch base calls, our client calls, if we're doing prospect calls or COI calls, based upon what your marketing plan looks like, right? But we're going to have people to call. Now, I'm a big proponent of figuring that out in advance. I'm not a big fan of coming in the office and figuring out who I'm going to be talking to. If you're using a contact manager, and by the way, you all need to be using one, whether that's Redtail, Act, Goldmine, Salesforce, whatever your company kind of mandates you use as Big Brother, whatever. If you walk in your office and you're trying to figure out who I'm going to call today, by the time you figure out who you're going to call today, you've already got 5 inbound messages, emails coming in, wholesalers coming in, whatever else you got going on, right? And guess what? I'll be generous and say it's haphazard at best. So what we need to be very clear on is making sure that you understand that your calls have got to be set in sequence really before the day. And so part of your end of the day or morning ritual, if you like, and depends where you want to do it, is you want to get your call set up in advance. And if you're using a contact manager, like I just said, you should have, your clients should be sequenced. A clients, B clients, C clients, whatever. 30, 60, 90-day call cycles. You shouldn't have to create a lot if you've organized. All right. And then also on a tactical day, we're going to do our admin, our paperwork. All right. So it's when we do the forms and whatever else you've got to do, and we know in our business is getting more and more like this. So we also have to deal with our administrative functions during our tactical day. And like I said earlier, it's really about working in the business, doing the thing, and this is where I think most of you already kind of get. My concern is, or my observation is, that most of you operate in too much of a tactical mode. Remember when I said we need to think strategically and act tactically? I think most of you are so caught up in acting tactically that you think motion or activity is going to be good enough for you to get to where you want to go. But if you don't have a strategic vision associated to that, hey, I can keep you busy all day long. I can make you very efficient in your daily game plans. But if that daily game plan is not leading you to what you ultimately want, you're never going to be happy. Now, you'll feel like you get things done. You make some money. That's just cool. Nothing wrong with that, right? But are you really going to be fulfilled and happy? Chances are probably not. So we need to be very clear on that as part of this daily, as part of our work here. Now, let me shift to what I call a strategic day. Now, strategic day really encompasses 3 things. The first thing is we talk about working on you. So what does working on you mean? Working on you in a strategic day means education, training, seminars, coaching events, anything to improve you. I'd even make the argument going to a spa, right? And taking care of your body would count as working on you. So this is where, we want to make sure that we're working on improving ourselves. This is where you take your CE credits, if you're going for designations, training, so on and so forth. That is strategic time, i.e. strategic day. The second element is what we call working on the business. Now, working on the business is very different than working in the business. So here's the differentials. Working on the business means you've set up your systems, your processes, your protocols, your business plans, your monthly game plans, tracking systems, client book segmentation, technology initiatives, things that are what I call management or ownership oriented. Okay, employee manuals, mission statements, websites, marketing ideas. These are all what we consider to be working on the business. So again, not in the minutia of what I call blocking and tackling and phoning and meetings and things like that, but more of the higher end stuff. And then lastly is what we call downtime. R&R, rest and recovery, balance, I guess another good word for it. We want to make sure that we're creating that. Now, here's why this is so important, and why we're updating this e-learning. What most people try to do is weave both of these into the same day. Where I'll have a couple of meetings, I got to work on my business plan, I'm going to leave early, I'm going to go, and what happens is there's no continuity. You wake up in the morning and you have a disjointed vision of what the day is. A little bit's tactical, a little bit's strategic, and guess what? You dabble in both, master neither. So what I want to do, I want you to do, starting in 2010, is determine your strategic days, your tactical days. Now, if you want to know where to get the most information about this philosophy, is make sure you review our Advisor 2015 modules, philosophy, belief system, whatever you want to call it, 6 modules that really will enlighten you about what I consider to be not only an alternative, but a far superior work-life model in terms of being a financial advisor. If you're burnt out, fried, looking for something new, looking to get re-energized, excited again, go listen to that series. I've had more people come back to me after listening to it and saying, wow, I'm excited. So do yourself a favor if you haven't already done so. You're part of our program here. Make sure you listen to Advisor 2015. All right. But again, these are the 2 types of daily game plans that I want you to be aware of. Now let's break down the 5 elements of a day. All right, like I said, there's morning success ritual, AM day, midday break, PM day, and then kind of wrap up, right? So let's talk about the MSR. And by the way, I'm going to briefly go over this because I'm going to create a new e-learning just to talk about morning success ritual because it's so important. Now, the day is won or lost in the first hour. So what you do by the time you what I call regain consciousness to the 60-minute hand goes 1 revolution around, will greatly determine how that day is going to go for you. If you're waking up and you wake up tired and the first thing you do is flick on the news or check the emails or what I say you're already in your day and you've not done certain protocols, it's going to be a big problem. All right. What I find in my coaching work is that most advisors have what I call a poor or no ritual at all. Like I just said, they kind of get up, they roll, they do their things, they're creatures of habit, so we all are, we're human beings, right? The problem with it is this: it usually does not serve you. And I know the argument I get back a lot of times is, well, I need to know what's going on. So I need my CNN. I need my CNN, CNBC. I need the paper. I need my Wall Street Journal. I'm not saying to put yourself in a vacuum. But what I am saying is there's a sequence, a syntax, a protocol that I want you to run before you kind of pollute your brain with all the negative stuff. All right? What I find to be very important is your first hour mental diet will drive your behavior throughout the day. So if you take nothing in but crap, negative garbage, all right, it sets the mental tone for the day. Chances are you're not enthusiastic, you're not excited, you're not motivated, you're not positive. You're worried about what's going on in the world. Your brain is kind of gunked up, if you will, with all this crap, as your body would gunk up if you ate nothing but McDonald's all day. If you ever see the movie Super Size Me, you know that, man, and I'm not trash McDonald's at all, but let me put it to you this way. Chances are if your nutrition is by number 4, supersized, number 3, whatever, and that's how you eat, and you wonder why you don't feel good, and you wonder why you don't have any energy, the same thing applies to your brain. If you jam it up with nothing but the news, which is hardly inspiring, other kind of inputs, and that's all you've got, so you in essence your mental diet is crap. And you wonder why you're in a bad mood. You wonder why you just can't get going in the day. You wonder why you're negative. Hey, you are what you eat. You become what you read, what you take in, what your inputs are. All right. So part of the morning success ritual, and I said I'm going to do a whole new e-learning on this in the next couple of weeks, is I want you to understand that your mental diet will absolutely drive your behavior throughout the day. And also what I find is that it is a precursor to both failure and success. And what I mean by a precursor, that those clients of mine who are absolutely consistent, ritualistic with their morning success ritual have a much better probability of attaining their goals throughout the week, throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the year. In fact, when somebody goes off my reservation, and what I mean by that basically is, they stop doing what works. First question I ask them is, hey, look, tell me about your morning ritual. And inevitably, in 99.9999% of the time, I hear back, Joe, I haven't really been doing it. Or, Coach, I haven't been as consistent with it. And then I sit there, and after doing this for a couple of years, I sit there and say, well, hey, look, I don't need to be a genius at this. Say, well, look, people that do their morning rituals are happier, they're more motivated, they get more done, they execute. People that kind of play around or non-committal with ritual, they're challenged, they struggle, they do this, they do that. So to me, this is crucial. This is crucial, all right? So you need to make sure that, and this is why I said to you, and I know some of you say, oh, Joe, I don't have time for that, and I got to get up and blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, I even know some of you have kids. I appreciate all that. And if it means that instead of getting in your office at 8 o'clock, you come in at 9 o'clock, but you're ready to roll, it will be much more impactful for your success coming at 9 ready to roll than 7:30, 8 o'clock trying to figure out what to do. And in a bad mood because you listen to the news all day. That's how important the morning success is really. In fact, I will go this far. Hey, you want to talk about daily game plans? Fine. If you don't get this piece handled, all this stuff really doesn't matter. You know why? Because it's not going to happen. This is fundamental, foundational morning success ritual. All right. So that's first of our daily game plan. And I want to run through really some of the elements of our morning success ritual. So what does it look like? First off, you want to determine is what time you're going to get up. So, look, there's no magic bullet. Whatever time you think you need. So if it's 5, 5:30, 6, you have a tough time telling me 7:30, 8 o'clock is a good idea. But maybe in some cases it would be okay. So what time you wake up? Then we talk about your morning power questions. Like I said, I'm going to create a whole new e-learning on this. So I can't spend a ton of time on this, so we'll be here for 2 hours. But there are going to be certain questions that you ask yourself in order to be successful. Now, if you want to learn more about morning power questions, they are built into our business planning process that's on the website. So, if you need to kind of go in there, we have a morning success ritual creator as part of our business plan. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to create what we call some inspirational visions. Now, again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I want you to kind of get some mental imagery. Instead of murder, death, mayhem, the latest celebrity garbage and stuff like that, I want you to take in your own thoughts, your own visions, kind of get your mind in a good place. And where you create those inspirational visions from is really going to come from your ideal lifestyle, your ideal life, which is again is part of our business planning process. And if you notice, I keep going back to that business plan. So, and look, I don't care if you're listening to me in December, January, June, whatever. Get a plan together. I don't care if it's a 6-month plan. Put it together, okay? And then we're also going to talk about tactical inspirational visions. What's a tactical? Well, tactical is, hey, what do I got to do today? Maybe you have a big meeting coming up. Maybe you have a big third meeting for a potential new client. I want you to visualize success. I want you to visualize yourself walking in with that prospect and making it happen, getting the yes, overcoming their objections, connecting with them. If you've got reviews to do, I want to see yourself going through the review, really connect with the person so they feel good about the relationship, and then asking them about introductions, referrals, who else they can help. All those things, I want that part of what we're doing here. And then the last thing we do as part of your morning success ritual is the My Plan review. Now, what is that? That is actually that business plan again. So part of the business plan is the My Plan review and also creating your daily game plan. Kind of what has to happen each and every day. So as we talk about, again, mental diet, right? So what are you going to be reading? What are you going to be listening to? Not the news, not CNBC, not CNN. Books, tapes, CDs, DVDs, art, my stuff here. Hey, whatever kind of floats your boat is fine. Next question you ask is how much? As much as reasonable. Okay. Now, if you exercise, obviously you'll have a little bit more time to do this, and that's cool. If not, even 15, 20 minutes is fine. But find a way to get what I call a healthy start to your day mentally and emotionally by a good mental diet. Also, what I want you to do is you work on your 2010 calendar, which again I'm going to break down in another e-learning. But this is a subset of our business planning process. Monthly game plan. We have a monthly game plan builder on the site here, and what I want you to do is make sure that you review, update, track your progress towards your goals. Your weekly game plan, again, is a subset of your monthly game plan. So again, what do we need to do and track for the week? And then obviously what we need to do to create today. So as you see, as part of the morning success ritual, there's a lot of tasking here. Now, good news is that most of this can be done within an hour. Again, the one if you will, option, if you will, is whether you exercise in the morning, whether you exercise midday, whether you exercise in the evening. Fine. Now, I will say this, and this is just for me. I tend to do my big workout midday. It energizes me for the second half. Now I have energy throughout the day. It's been one of the pillars of my coaching work. But I also will say this: hey, 5 or 10 minutes on an elliptical machine, 5 or 10 minute quick jog, 5 or 10 minute walk, 5 or 10 minute walk the dog, stretching, whatever, kind of get the endorphins flowing. Always a good idea. So when I say exercise in the morning, I'm not talking about a 45-minute cardio workout necessarily. What I am saying is find something that works for you, that kind of gets you going. Maybe what would be a great thing for you to do is go take a 15-20 minute walk. Maybe if you have an animal, you take the animal with you, right? And you get some MP3s on that iPod of yours, some good stuff, books on tape, whatever. Kind of tune into that and go take your walk. Connect, spend some time dealing, or walk on a treadmill, whatever you need to do. But find a way to kind of walk through this element of the morning success ritual. Now, the other elements of your daily game plan are what we call is, okay, what else we need to do? So what are the real parts of a daily game plan? Well, the first thing we're talking about is what has to happen today, or what the goals or the outcomes need to be. Now, what I say is choose up to 5. Now, these are not necessarily to-do items, like, Mrs. Smith needs, a copy of her statement, or Mary Jane needs this call. Is, hey, what do you need to accomplish today in order to feel good about the day? So is there a certain number of contacts? Do you need to set up a certain number of review meetings? Do you need to reach out to certain people in terms of marketing? Do you need to drive certain revenue goals, certain referral goals? So again, what are the goals or outcomes? And again, up to 5. If you give yourself a whole smattering of stuff that has to get done, your daily game plan starts looking like a glorified to-do list. And we want to be very, very careful about that. Marketing, business development, up to 5. Now again, in our daily game plan builder, and you'll see this comes really off of our monthly and weekly game plans also, is just, so do we have any, are we doing calling? Are we doing review? Are we doing referral requests, COI contacts, social networking? Again, what are our outcomes from marketing and business development? Personal development, up to 5. So exercise, mental diet, learning, things like that. Again, what's our personal development tasking or action items for today? Now, the action items here are really what we call our must-do list. So what's the must-do list? Now, this is where you may have to handle a certain client situation. You may have to handle certain things that would not be. You may have a top-line goal of scheduling 2 review meetings and 2 new meetings. But you may need to call this one person or do this one little thing. This is where you want to track your action items. Now, when I say up to 5, and I put that in there very specifically, I don't want you to sit there and say, well, coach says 5, so there's got to be 5. No. If 3 are if you find 3 that are meaningful for you and that works, fine. If it's 4, fine. If it's 2, fine. It's what it needs to be for you, and I need to be very clear on that. our opportunity list. Now, what an opportunity list is, say, where are my opportunities for today? So is it a certain person, a certain situation, a certain event? But I want to make sure I understand what the opportunities are for me each and every day. And then our must call list. Now, again, hopefully a lot of this is going to be derived from our tracking, our contact manager, our call rotation, so on and so forth. But there's probably 10, 15 people you need to talk to every day. All right, and if there's not, then you got to take a look at your business, because we are in the people business, and the simple rule in the people business is that the more people you connect with, the more people you talk to, right? The more business you'll have, the more money you'll make. So I just want to be very, very clear on that. It's extremely important that we focus on that. And then lastly, what we want to do is really what I call have some tracking and measurement. Make sure we're tracking things properly, making sure that at the end of the day we know how we did versus our score. So we're going to take all these elements, all right, and really walk through the measurement of them. How do we do with our goals for the day? How do we do with our business development activities? How do we do with our personal development exercise goals? How do we kind of hit our must-do list? How do we tackle our opportunity list or must-call list? So there's going to be always some tracking, and to me, the tracking and measurement, some of it's done throughout the day, and we'll talk about how to wrap up today in our next module, because this will be a two-part e-learning here. But the other thing I want to say is that you want to make sure that the tracking and measurement part should be a 5 to 10 minute process at the end of the day. If you're spending more than that, kind of figuring out what went on and things like that, then we really want to take a look at your systems, so we get absolute clarity on what has to happen. So these are just some things I want you to be very, very focused and aware on. And then what I want to do in part 2 of our daily game plan is kind of walk you through kind of finishing up the day, kind of how to wrap it up, kind of talk about the PM day, the midday break, some of the other elements. But I want to make sure that in part 1 you get a good working basis. So join me in part 2, and thank you for being a part of our e-learning today.